film friends, friends of film, and everyone in between. Welcome to our 5th episode of our summer miniseries, Yo Adrian. I am here with Justin Sound, Rae Costumes, and Toni Camera.
Yo
Toni. And like Rocky 5, the only consolation we can offer today is that this is not the last episode. So here we go. It's officially 1990.
Simp.
Yes,
Here we are with the rap.
hip hop, sign of the times, 1990. Let's do it.
This is what the kids are listening to now, right?
I was a kid. I was listening to it.
Yep.
Cypress Hill, Tribe Called Quest.
Oh, God.
It's for the children.
This gem.
Back on the beat, back to the start.
This part.
Trust in your heart.
I forgot this Elton John song existed.
Honestly, it wasn't until the credits that I heard this, and I was like, is that Elton John? Did
Yeah.
he connect himself with this piece of crap?
This is an Academy Award winner.
Yeah, no, Elton John had to go do Lion King to redeem himself.
Right.
Can you feel
Well, he was also,
The measure
this song was also one of the 7 Razzies that this movie got
Wow, Elton John got a Razzie?
for the song, yeah.
Oh my God.
Yep.
All right.
Unbelievable.
On that note,
let's. Sorry. Apologies to everyone listening for any tortured ears that you just went through.
The hip hop was cool. I'm down with that.
Yeah. The hip hop was because that's a nice nostalgic throwback to where we are.
Yeah.
So real quick before we get any further today, research for today's episode comes from, guess what? Wikipedia, YouTube, IMDb, the bonus features of the Rocky Blu-ray collection, and of course, Rocky 5. It's time to take the kid gloves off. I am going to start by saying this movie sucks. So, Rocky fucking 5, let's go. All right.
Yeah, Jed and I were really excited to see this movie. We had to make ourselves because we always skip over it when we're doing our marathons.
I think I've only seen it once because I always skip it as well.
I will
And so it was kind of fun to watch it again.
I will say this is the most objective. I think I'm not speaking for you, but I felt this was the most objective watch I've ever given this movie, because usually when I'm trying to watch through the series, I'm going, I'll just tough it through and I'll keep going because it gets better after this, But
You're not alone.
yeah, but Rae, and we will get into it. You made some very good and objective observations about this movie. So there is some silver lining.
Yeah, if I had to sum up this movie in one word, I would just call it cringe. Like the whole thing from the beginning to the end, it's just like nothing but like it. I get cringed out just watching it.
I would give it 2
What's
words.
your cringiest part?
All right, I'll tell you my cringiest
Please
part.
do.
My cringiest part is when Rocky is in the basement with his son and Adrian and Paulie and watching Tommy Gunn fight, and he is doing everything Tommy's doing in the fight, but on a heavy bag in the basement. And it's just so creepy. He's like, yeah, and Tommy's doing the same thing, and he's just like into it, and he's like channeling him. And I hated that part. I just absolutely hate that part. Because the son's watching too, and the son is kind of wants his love.
It's also right after that whole Christmas debacle where they end up, Rocky comes back around. He's like, oh, you're right. I haven't been here for you. And you're number 1 home team, the whole thing. And then he goes right back to it. And the kid's like, what? And Adrian's like, what? And Paulie's like, this motherfucker. Like, this
Adrian,
crumb bum.
I think like when Adrian and Robert are sitting on the basement stairs, they're not
it's
even
rough.
like in the basement, and Rocky's just pummeling this heavy bag, just locked in with Tommy. And I'm just
Okay, we're talking about the end
I
already.
think
We should probably back up.
I think that is a good mirror for the movie, because the whole movie feels like a disappointing parent. So that is maybe more accurate than we know. I want to get us into, right out of the gate, the mismatch that is going. We've talked about when 2 starts, because it's supposed to be a direct cut from Rocky 1, and we had talked about that. This is the most egregious by far. The continuity errors and changes because here it is. They're supposed to have just arrived back from Russia, and I
Off
know
the plane.
I know Tony has comments to say about the weird growth of the child, but before we get into that, there's other stuff like Talia Shire's hair is completely different, and because she was recording Godfather 3, I think at the time. But like the makeup changes, everyone's clearly aged. So what I want y'all to give an opinion to this movie opens up, and there's already, as I aforementioned,
To a naked Stallone in the shower, by the way.
which before recording, I believe the ladies here had said that's the best thing in the whole movie.
I mean, I'm not mad at it.
Yeah.
Not at all. I think I wrote, where is it?
I had totally forgotten that it started this way.
This is all coming back to me as y'all are talking, because I'm barely remembering. I'm remembering.
We've only seen it the one time.
I only saw it the
Yeah.
one time.
Right. Like most people.
But it
there's like
so
a-
far has been the most unmemorable.
I do like the Adrian Rocky moment in the bath as well.
We haven't talked,
I mean, that's
like
good.
we have really talked about naked side Sylvester Stallone.
Take it back.
Uh-huh.
You know what I'm saying? Like, I just want to talk about how beautiful this shot was. Like, he's kind
was
of
a
like
beautiful
leaning
shot.
over. He's his
And,
whole side of his body. He's covering his privates, but it's like a shadowy,
Like
and the
Mormon
light
porn.
is coming in through the shower, and it's misty, and there's a slow push in. It's great. It's the only redeeming quality of this movie, I think.
Well, I would to piggyback on that. I would say that each time the movie starts getting disappointing, there might be like a glimmer of potential or something like what you just said, and you're like, okay, well maybe it could get, But for those of us that have seen it several times, you know what's coming. But I can imagine on a first watch, which Justin you can speak to here in a second. That,
He liked the naked part too.
but you
Not
might
that
have
I remember.
But and tell us your brief opinion before we get into detail later. But did you have you knew coming into this movie that it was by a lot of accounts the weakest link, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
So what was your opinion after seeing it for the first time?
sure, I was looking for why a little bit.
Yeah.
But I was also trying not to do that and trying to, play devil's advocate.
Did you succeed?
A little bit at first, but then I fell off pretty quickly, probably about 30, 45 minutes in,
gets
something
rough.
like that. Yeah. It gets a little rough. Hard to watch.
It's the poorest written of the whole series. It has crazy plot, like continuity errors. You have the matching errors that I mentioned in the opener, and there's just we've said, it's clumsy, it's clunky, it has a lot of issues, and I'll use this to actually, what? Before we get into that,
Wait.
I
That
wanted to ask
being
y'all
said,
something.
okay, go ahead.
No, go ahead.
That being said, I feel like this movie had potential. Because the story, I mean, as wild as it is, and talk about jumping the shark with the, fight at the end. But
It's the shark landing.
It is. That's the beached shark, y'all.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, I feel like it had potential, but it was just poorly executed.
Yes, very much.
I agree, and I might
and-
have some theories about that later before we end.
Please, yeah.
nice.
Get going
I like that.
into Balboa and all that stuff.
Oh, and I also do want to say that this is the debut of his real son, Sage Stallone.
Mm-hmm.
He plays Rocky's son, Robert.
Yes.
And unfortunately, in 2012, he died of coronary artery disease. So
Yeah, there was I have a little
36.
memory. It was just a freak kind of undiagnosed thing, wasn't it?
Yeah. So yes, this is his real life son in the movie, which is
And it doesn't,
Kind of
it's
cool.
actually,
Who also aged 4 years.
exactly. He went from like 5 to 9.
it's actually not, Sage Stallone did not have to dig too deep to get into character on this either, because it does
Yes.
mirror the relationship that Sage and Sly had in real life. Sage felt neglected and, pushed aside and things like that. And strangely enough, I was talking to my ex about this the other day, about the podcast, and about Rocky V. And he was telling me that he went to film school with Sage Stallone.
Because I know he did a lot of directing.
Yeah,
Sage.
and he said he did everything that he
an
did.
NYU kid or something? Like,
no, I can't remember. I didn't
Stallone's
ask
kid,
where they
went.
Nice.
Like,
but he
didn't go to Full Sail.
Well,
No
he
offense.
also was
No
trying to
offense to Full
distance
Sail.
himself from Stallone as much as he could. And he, when I was having this conversation, he said that Sage did a lot of B horror movies.
Yes.
Which is very...
He had a production company,
Did he?
a Grindhouse production
Okay.
company, Sage did, with another guy. Yeah.
Interesting.
That is interesting. I would actually, because I've seen this Rocky V more times than I would care to admit, I would be more interested in seeing whatever that is than
I
ever
would love
watching
to
this
see
again.
Sage Stallone's movies.
And so speaking of mirror that you mentioned, I want to take a look in the Stallone mirror. So 1989, they're making the movie. We're closing in on the end of the decade. It's also kind of a waning of Sly's first peak in his career. So in 1987, Over the Top, which we've already discussed. In this era of Rocky V, we have Rambo 3 in 88, Lock Up and Tango and Cash in 89, which is also weird because they both involve prisons. Rocky V in 1990, Oscar in 1991, and as I mentioned in the last episode, Stop or My Mom Will Shoot in 1992.
When was Cliffhanger?
Slightly after this, I think it was 94.
Oh, okay.
When was Daybreak that Sage was also in?
That came,
with Stallone?
that was like early 2000s, wasn't
Was it?
Or late 90s, maybe? I confuse a little bit of those because of the Tomb and, well, it wasn't called The Tomb. What did they release it as? That was the one that was filmed here. That was the Prison Break one. Anyway, they all are similar. They when you have several things where he's trying to break through the daylight or trying to break out of a prison or trying to break through, like, I don't know. But by the time this movie's coming out, his heyday as he knew it at the time was obvious to him that it was declining. And like every single Rocky movie that he has written to date, he has taken elements of his personal life and put them into the movie. So he started playing along the ideas of what happens if you lose everything. What if you have, because he, with what Toni mentioned too, with his actual relationship with Sage, how can he then put that element into the movie? Because some of that did mirror their real life issues at the time.
And Sly also had issues with his own father too, which I think we talked about in like Rocky 1.
Oh, he's definitely a mama's boy. We've never really talked about that, but he loved his mother.
Oh, Jackie.
Yeah, who had a lot of makeup.
She certainly did.
Well, I'm not, I was like,
The 80s were
how
her
can I say
heyday.
this without coming off me? All right. So, so that's why we get the plot of Rocky's fall from grace. So that's all based on what's mirroring in his life. And the only other thing I wanted to say in this segment, because I had no other good place to put it, but I thought it was worth mentioning because it's too funny. Do y'all know how he ended up getting Stop or My Mom Will Shoot? I had heard this before, but I've never actually read it as a confirmed thing. So, you know how like all the Planet Hollywood, so like, Bruce Willis, Schwarzenegger, Stallone, they all were also like pranking each other and everything because they're so cool and whatever. So, Stallone signed onto the film based on rumors that Schwarzenegger himself had put out that he was interested in doing the project when he actually had no intention of ever doing the project. And later, Schwarzenegger said that knowing the script's quality was poor, he publicly faked interest so the producers could lure Stallone, and that's how he ended up doing Stop or My Mom Will Shoot.
That is so
in a
Was
weird.
that before or
wonderful.
after this?
That was after this 92.
Wait, that was after this one.
Correct.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like a fake pissing contest. It was really a prank. So, I mean,
so good.
isn't that crazy?
That's so good.
I could see that happening. Like,
Yeah.
people being like, "Hey, let's play prank on
Yeah.
Stallone."
And now we'll light
just-
cigars and talk about Planet
He
Hollywood.
just made that shitty sequel.
Because I guess as a footnote, I will say there is he does have, I've God, at this point in Stallone's career, he's had like 4 peaks, but later in the 90s when he has like Demolition Man and Cliffhanger and stuff, those are box office successes and everything. So even though they might be campy or they're stupid or something, whatever, he is successful at the box office. So anyway, moving on. This is normally where we talk about favorite moments. Does anyone have a favorite moment?
I have a lot of Pauly favorite moments. I mean, despite the fact that he was the reason why they lost everything, because, and we were talking about this last week, and on the second watch, well, third or whatever, the second watch for this podcast, I realized that Pauly did not sign it.
Right.
He made Rocky sign it, thinking he was being good. Yes.
He did make Rocky sign it?
Yep.
Yeah, because it was a power
I mean,
of
didn't
attorney.
make him, but he
couldn't-
thought that,
Pauly
and Rocky
couldn't
probably
sign.
just
I guess-
signed it thinking that he was,
Signing
even
some
as
writing
recent-
out papers
right,
or whatever.
exactly.
As recent as when you and I watched it, we missed that part.
Right.
And because I mean,
I had to rewind it this time too.
wow.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, at the end of the
'Cause I
day,
was like, wait.
that's still on them for not clarifying that and leaving it real clunky and muddy. Because that was, one of the things I had written down as an option for the fucking Pauly corner later was the whole fact that he's the catalyst for this entire thing to happen, except that the thing made no sense. But if Rocky actually did unknowingly sign something, okay.
Yeah, because
now
they talk about how, in that whole fight with Adrian in the hallway as Rocky's coming in, they're saying that, we were going to be in Russia for 4 months, and I thought I was doing good business. I thought, I didn't, so he didn't realize what it was either. But he's saying, the accountant, he's the thief, not me, and all that kind of stuff.
I mean, and again about family, it's like he forgives Pauly and still considers him family, and they all move on together. And then Pauly has some redeeming moments later on that we can get into.
He has lots of redeeming moments in this one, because after that initial huge fuck up that
it's a pretty colossal one.
I mean, it doesn't
toppled
get much...
the financial empire of the family.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, I called it the ultimate fucking Pauly movie.
Yeah.
One of my favorite moments is with Pauly.
Okay.
Is right before the big fight, the family fight between Rocky and Robert. He comes down, and Robert's sitting there with his friends, his new hood friends, because they moved into South Philly, and they're not in their rich neighborhood.
Is this a good time to say that that's Pizza Boy?
Who?
The bully.
Pizza Boy?
Kevin Connolly from Entourage.
Oh,
That's
really?
That's his acting debut.
Shit.
Is the bully.
Huh.
Yeah.
Yeah, he steals his jacket.
It's fucking Pizza Boy.
But then, Anyway, so he's in the house with his friends, and Pauly comes down the stairs in the Santa outfit, and of course Rocky's like, "Oh, hey, do I hear something on the roof?" Oh, and Pauly comes out, "Oh, look, it's Santa!" And Pauly's like, "Yo, yo, yo." He's like, "Oh, I don't know, Santa doesn't say that." He's like, "Santa says it here." Yo, yo, yo. And so it's just
Where I grew up.
Yeah. It's so great.
That's also where he screws up the plot point by talking about Christmas. What was it? How did it go? It was Christmas the previous year, or when he was talking about...
and he was like, "Oh, remember last year?" He's like, and Robert's like, "Yeah, this isn't last year, and you're not who you were either," or something like that.
Yeah,
like,
because he was in Russia theoretically. So
good point.
So that's the whole thing. Like, he's like, "Remember last Christmas? Like, last Christmas you were out of the country."
Yeah.
He doesn't say that though.
No, that's. I mean, that's why there's so much of that in the
there's
script.
lots of holes.
It's like it's like Stallone did zero research back to his previous scripts.
But yeah, my other second favorite part is when Robert does beat up the bully. That made my heart. It made me feel happy, like when he finally just does it without even any.
It's not because Rocky was training him either. It was because Pauly and everybody else in the gym was training him because he was being pushed aside.
Exactly.
Yep.
So he did it without his dad.
I like his ridiculous earring.
Oh, I love the earring.
It's
the
so
dangler.
Absurd. It's comically large.
I have a friend who was wearing an earring very similar to that these days, and we make fun of him relentlessly.
That's great. I mean, I would have. You know what would have been a nice callback is that he had a feather earring, like
oh my god, I wish
a Clubber Lang. Because also it's like fuck you, Dad. I got a Clubber Lang original.
Oh my god.
See,
Mr. T trained me.
we can make this movie better. We have the technology. The time is now.
I think it was like a George Michael kind of.
It was very George Michael.
He had a George Michael thing going on.
Father figure. Oh my god.
Also, a better song choice than Measure of a Man.
Yeah, but that's not what that song was about.
You are correct.
I should have done it anyway.
I can tell you what my favorite moment
yes.
was, and it's kind of cheating because it's a flashback.
That's
with
fine.
Mickey.
Oh, is it the Mickey part?
The whole Mickey thing,
Yeah.
you know? I mean, and that comes back in the end,
God,
too.
he looked rough, though.
And that was actually shot on 5. Like, it wasn't like a
tell.
flashback.
Oh, no, yeah,
flashback.
that's-
you can
yeah.
tell.
Like, this is Burgess Meredith came
was-
back.
I in my notes, I said he looks like a Christmas ghost.
But the whole thing where he's saying, oh,
He
you
was
know.
115 at that time.
Right.
Yeah.
How did he keep
16,
aging in
I think.
death?
And then the whole, and speaking of that, we do need to mention the cufflink. The
Cuff and link?
Of course.
No, the Rocky Marciano.
Oh,
on
the
the
cuff
chain,
link.
the
Oh,
cuff
sorry.
link,
boxing
the
glove
boxing one.
that
and
Mickey gave to him in Rocky 2? 1?
What? 2.
2, I think.
2.
I think it was 2. I
Yeah.
can't remember.
Yes, I believe it's 2.
But and then he says, "Well, where's the other one?" And then apparently Apollo was wearing one very similar. So
Really?
it
Interesting.
might be in Apollo's possession. The other cuff.
I
Easter
did
eggs.
see that in the trivia notes when I was looking through that stuff, that it's not, I wouldn't call it fan fiction, but there's people who have tried to logically figure it out, and that's what makes the most sense, is that the other cufflink is in the Apollo world. I wanted to mention here it's more of an accidental favorite, but from an art department standpoint,
We'll talk about my favorite moment later.
Oh
It's cool.
crap! I'm sorry. No, we did skip time. You know what?
No, go
I'm going to
ahead,
shut
Jed.
up. Go ahead.
No, please proceed.
No, no,
I'll
No,
get
you were
back to
talking
it,
about
don't worry.
Burgess Meredith.
I mean, you know, we got. This is the last time we really get to talk about Mickey, so you know, I got to get it in while I can. But I mean, I love that he says, "You give me motivation."
I wrote that down.
I love
motivation.
that because he's saying, you know, if it wasn't for you, I wouldn't even be alive, because nature is smarter than people think, and when you don't have people, if you don't have things to live for, you just, you know, decline. I'm paraphrasing, obviously, but yeah, I mean, it really, and that's why I think Rocky feels, I mean, that's like a precursor to him becoming Mickey for Tommy Gunn, or wanting to be Mickey for Tommy Gunn. But the problem is that Tommy Gunn is not Rocky. He does not have the heart, which they say many times, or allude to at least in the movie. And Rocky isn't Mickey, you know? I mean, not maybe until later, but you know, AO. But in this one, I feel like he's just so desperate to get, he feels like he needs to get it all in, like all these years of training with Mickey, he needs to get everything in so much that he's just, you know, it's so frenetic. And so, and the thing is, Tommy's not listening to any of it either, really, you know. I mean, if he wouldn't have ditched him for,
His
you know,
being his
Don King,
shadow.
not Don King.
He's like, I want to punch something.
Well, yeah,
Tommy Gunn.
that's the thing with Rocky. Like, I think he was like trying to live vicariously through Tommy Gunn too.
Oh, for sure.
Because he's like, he's retired, but I don't think he doesn't want to be. He wants to fight. He wants to keep fighting, which you'll see in a future something.
Well, and he says, as long as the kid is winning, I'm winning too. Or
Yeah.
something, you know, as long as the kid's in that ring, I'm winning too.
And
you
Rocky
know?
had such a better haircut than Tommy
Oh.
Gunn. Like that
You- oh my
mullet.
God.
Oh my!
You just read my
God.
mind.
That was so.
Oh, yeah.
That was so
I was
1990. though.
literally about to say,
I went to school with a lot
when
of
Heather
people.
Ray
who-
and I,
I always hated that
Oh,
haircut.
it's awful.
when Heather Ray and I were
And it's
watching,
back.
I said the most believable thing about Tommy Gunn was his mullet.
So true.
Actually,
I
that
was
might
like,
be
oh
the
my God,
most
Tony.
believable thing about
Yeah.
him. Yeah.
I wanted to mention,
And he's a real
Robert-
fighter, though.
Yeah, he
Yes,
was.
he was a
And
real fighter.
and
That was one of the
the guy who
reasons he was
played Union
chosen.
Kane.
Yeah, Kane was a real fighter
He
as
was,
well.
and they were supposed to fight each other.
Union
yeah.
King.
Union
What a
King.
name.
I don't know. I
He's
think
the
it's better
most-
than Mason Dixon.
Oh, we'll get into that.
I love
Heyo,
Mason.
heyo.
Yeah.
That's just a name.
But
Yeah.
but Union Kane is the most forgettable, I think, of the
Well,
opponents.
he's just a means to an end in this
Yes,
movie.
he
He's
is
not
very
he's
much.
not an opponent. He's not Rocky's
I would have
opponent.
appreciated if Big Yank Ball was still not retired and they finally got to see him.
Big Yank
Big
Ball.
Ball. Just so you could say big yank ball.
You just wanted to say Big
I
Yank
want
Ball.
to. I want
Also,
anyone to explain why that was a thing, but we've already passed that.
I heard that Tommy Gunn in real life, whatever. his
Tommy
name-
Morrison.
Yeah. had it like a super glass jaw. People would always go for it. He would get knocked out. His nose would bleed constantly. He was always just like, that was going on with him in real life. Like, he wasn't a really good fighter.
Is that why he's the first opponent in Mike Tyson Punch-Out?
Probably.
The dates don't line up. All right, let's move on. So this is where we.
I don't have a favorite moment.
Sorry. I'm holding off on you for a reason. We'll get to that in a second.
Okay. No, that's good. Yeah.
So this is usually when we talk about maybe things that are new to you in the rewatch. I'll start with that. Is there anything that watching this, such as you had mentioned,
Naked Stallone, for sure.
Well, and also you caught the one not well said line about the signing of the papers. That's very easy to miss.
Well, and also in that meeting with the lawyers, they're also saying how they can't really make it a public trial because then all of the things that Rocky did in the loan sharking and the assault charges and his record would come out too. Because, this is before the interwebs. And, that would have come out long before if it was, modern day,
right.
The day of, technology.
I would say by watching all these movies back to back, one thing that stuck out to me that I wouldn't ever even pay attention to. But remember in, I want to say Rocky 2, when he gets the house with Adrian and he's like, oh, this place has got nice bricks. It's got nice bricks. Yeah. And he's hitting it. Well,
6969.
Yeah. And then
it's an angel number.
He goes to
1818. It's 1818.
His house is 1818.
Oh, was it? Oh, I thought
that's in your brain for some reason. Jed.
This is a good time for me to say
no.
I'm on 3 hours of sleep and I'm on a Sylvester Stallone sanctioned 25 cups of coffee. So
669 was the room where Adrian was in the hospital.
Oh, yes, thank you.
The angel number.
Yes.
Yeah, so you're not far off.
I knew that sounded familiar. I know we talked about that before.
So
Numbers.
All right, so he's talking about his house saying nice bricks, nice bricks. So when he's bringing Robert to the new school and he's going through the fence and he goes, "This is a nice school. It's got nice bricks." And I'm just
I did not remember.
He's always admiring bricks.
He loves the bricks all the time.
He's got bricks in his gloves.
He trains with bricks.
Also, another thing by scrutinizing these movies, I don't know if you noticed, but at the very end of this movie, he says, "Hey, Adrian." He doesn't say, "Yo, Adrian." And I wrote it down like, he says, "Hey, Adrian, what the fuck?" Why does he say?
He dialed it in.
Continuity, just another continuity error.
I mean, what's this "hey" about?
Yeah, this was a paycheck. So, Justin, you had mentioned that when you were trying to be objective because of things that you had heard, and I think you had mentioned that it was around 30, 40 minutes in that it was kind of falling off.
Yeah, I'm not sure exactly what point, the whole timeline.
When Tommy Gunn shows up?
Basically.
It's basically when Tommy Gunn shows up. There was a point, and I was going to say this might be one of my favorite moments.
Okay, good.
But the point where Tommy Gunn shows up, it might have been like the first or second time he goes to try to get Rocky to
like under the bridge by the pet store.
Yes. And Don King is Don King, not Don
exactly
King.
What you're gonna say.
George Washington
Duke
is his name. Yeah.
Don't worry, we're about to get him right after this.
Only in America.
I don't know. That was a kind of a wholesome moment, and I don't know. It felt a little bit more real, but then there was something that happened in that scene where I was like, ugh. And it was his son there, and he was watching.
Not in the first one. I think he's with Polly, and Duke shows up, and Tommy's waiting for him.
Yeah, they're under the
that's
bridge.
what he was saying.
They're under the highway.
Yeah, I don't know.
But he does bring him to his house where his kid's eating dinner at the dinner table.
Right.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah.
I thought you were going to say it's when he said...
That's when it starts to kind of fall off for me.
Okay. I thought you were going to say when he says, "Oh, who's Mark Twain?" "Oh, he's a painter."
No, you see, I didn't even catch some of those things.
Oh,
and
you know
I was
what?
Like,
sorry.
Yeah. No, I mean, I was going to say my actual favorite moment though, and I'm doubling down, on my admiration of the absurdity of it. Let's just say, is the fight.
I mean, yeah. That's
yeah,
that's when the shark
the street
lands.
fight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The actual last fight.
Wait, there's a lot of craziness with the street fight, with alternate scripts and everything.
Well, the fact that he was
but we'll
supposed
get
to
into
die in that.
That's part of it. There's we're gonna get into it a little bit later, but yeah, there's a lot of like things he toyed or played around with, and then he ultimately decided to not do. I think there was supposed to be like a Mickey appearance, anyway. We'll get into that later.
Mickey's dead.
Was he actually
like
an
his
angel on
image.
his shoulder?
Like he's dazed
At
and
the street fight. Yeah,
at the
yeah,
street fight,
yeah.
and then he sees Mickey. And
Oh,
it's
like in the crowd?
Well, he does. Oh, in the crowd? Oh. He has the flashback, and that's
right,
when he says...
we're getting ahead of ourselves.
All right, all
Hold on.
right. This podcast is going to be as clumsy as the movie,
Yes.
y'all.
And it's my fault. So what I wanted to ask y'all is, because I wanted to get into George Washington Duke. So not Don King. I tried very hard to find evidence where Don King was paid to use his likeness, because I have no idea how this was not a gigantic lawsuit.
Right.
King, Duke. King, Duke.
Only
It's-
in
they didn't
America.
even-
That was his catchphrase.
That was his catchphrase.
Yes, only in America.
They dressed him similarly. His name is like I even made
He spoke like him.
I made a joke. I
Like,
said, "Why not make him Hispanic and call him Donaldo Ray?" But it's just so, it was so blatant. Like I don't know if I've ever seen that in a movie and not see
Without litigation?
Without litigation. Thank you. That's a good way of saying it. But what I will say that I want y'all's opinion on, when I was watching it again, Talia Shire, she has a little moment in the bath in the beginning, and then later she has a really nice monologue later. That might be my favorite, actually. But, she has her little motivation moment. Outside of that, there's not a lot of her.
See, I feel like not necessarily a superfluous character, but I feel like her character served as a conduit between Rocky and his son.
Yes.
You
and
know,
it might
and
have
that's-
been scheduling conflicts.
She also
might
got
have
a Razzie
limited-
for this for worst actress.
Oh,
as well,
no.
by the way.
Ouch.
Stallone got for screenplay and worst actor, worst director John Avildsen.
How in the
Worst
world?
supporting actor or supporting actor. No, worst actress is Talia Shire. Burt Young got a Razzie for supporting actor.
What were they up
Elton
against that year?
John got one for as we talked about.
That's
and there was one more, I think, too.
Jeez Louise.
Yeah, it was crazy.
My question I wanted to bring to y'all, bringing up Talia Shire. Oh, sorry. You
worst
see it?
picture. Worst picture.
Oh,
That's
overall.
The one. Overall,
Jesus.
worst picture. Yes.
So the one thing I will say about Richard Gant, who plays George Duke, aka not Don King, I think he does a great job. Like
Being Don King.
Touch me, I
being
sue.
not Don King. Yeah, I mean he, as from a performance, he might be the best performance in the movie. So that's kind of the question I wanted to ask y'all. If you had to pick out who you thought actually brought their A game, or who you thought was the best performance, or maybe moments such as like an Adrian monologue or something, what do y'all think from an acting standpoint stood out to y'all as watchable?
I feel like
Tommy Gunn is
Don
not
King, not
watchable.
Don King's character was. I mean, because he used Tommy Gunn as a pawn through this whole thing just to get Rocky in the ring. Not even necessarily,
Also a Don King move. I
yeah,
mean, that's
100%.
I think the redhead Tommy dates is
God,
the best
she's-
actress in the whole movie.
I hate her. I want to punch her
When
in
she's
her
like,
ginger face.
Oh my God, we gotta get to the restaurant. Oh my God, we gotta get to the restaurant.
I love in the press conference.
We're gonna be
she
late to the
says-
restaurant.
They say, "Oh, I hear why don't you knock out the redhead in the front row? I hear she comes pretty cheap."
I
the
also
media
love-
comments. My God, that
Oh
press
my God,
conference
that press
is out of
conference,
control.
out of
I said, yes, the press
His
scrutinizing
jaw was so glassy,
Gunn.
might as well have been a chandelier. Like,
So good. I also like when
never
George
Y'all are
Washington.
professional media reporters.
I know.
oh, and he George Washington Duke in that press conference. He basically, I mean, that was the setup for Tommy.
Yes.
Like that was like the hit point, you know, that was it, because he was saying, oh, well, Union Kane wasn't feeling very well. Yeah. They say, oh, well, you know, well, there's only one Rocky Balboa. No, he's not Rocky, you know, like you see Tommy getting all,
it's like
steaming, heating up,
like smoke's coming out of it. He's like Mrs. White and Clue, like veins on the side of my face. But no, George Washington Duke, I love when he says, maybe I should sign up Miss Balboa. She's the only one with the cojones in the family.
Oh,
yeah. That's
what are cajones?
What are cajones?
So Heather Rae, while we were watching, pointed this out, and this is one of those things. Again, I probably should have brought this up in the rewatch question. When Rocky says, "What are cajones?" or whatever, you pointed out, how does he know it's a Hispanic silent J?
Right.
That it's like he wouldn't know that if he doesn't know what the word is. He wouldn't know that
because he said
it's spelled with a J.
Yeah, because he said cojones, and then Rocky says, "What are cajones?"
And
Paulie's like, "Oh,
he only heard it."
So again, it's like, this script is terrible.
Yeah, yeah,
like, just so poorly thought out.
That's amazing.
And and it's one of those things where you're like, oh my god, how have I never caught that? So it was a very good catch by Heather Rae.
That's good. Yeah. Yeah.
Well,
he was reading the script, so you know he saw.
With the redhead, the only thing I wanted to say about her, and this is kind of a specific reference, but she weirdly reminds me of the redhead bimbo character in Blazing Saddles that's with Mel Brooks when he's the governor or whatever. And her character is just supposed to be this like ditzy, you know, kind of thing or whatever. And she's just there to be eye candy, and she serves no real purpose. And when I was rewatching, that other thing popped in my head, and I was like, you know what's sad? The difference is that that's a comedy. This is not comedy.
Yes.
And yet it's looking like
it's laughable.
Comedy. It is laughable. It is definitely laughable. But that was just because I totally forgot about her existence. And then suddenly it's like, oh, you're the whatever Tommy Gun arm candy or whatever you want to call it. I love the furs that she's wearing.
Oh yeah,
that
all
are
the
so
furs,
ridiculous.
the white furs.
Yeah. You know what would have been great, even though it would have made no sense really, is just a random animal activist to throw cow blood on her. And then you just get back into the plot.
Well, they'd have to get George Washington Duke's fur too, if that were the case, right?
Yeah.
It was
I wouldn't be against it.
fur heavy.
And
that
then Tommy
movie.
It was pretty fur heavy. It was definitely fur heavy.
And then Tommy Gunn
said.
street fights whoever threw it.
It's really Rocky.
Anything else that anyone wants to say as far as like rewatch or random observations?
I really like that when they were showing the montage of Rocky training Tommy and all the newspaper headlines are popping up. And then you see at one point Adrian taking the newspaper with the headline, putting
in the bird cage. I love that.
It's nice.
I love that.
I love that
She's
too.
just like, and that's the one time you ever see her just kind of like disappointed with Rocky. You know what I mean? And
she's
like
disappointed with Rocky for a lot of
in the
this.
movie, yeah.
for this whole
like,
movie.
Yeah.
Yeah. And like
You're neglecting your
I
son.
really love that she finally tells him exactly
You're
what
losing
we're
us.
fucking thinking through the whole movie.
Yeah.
Like, thank you, Adrian, for telling him. Like, you were not paying attention to your son. All he wants is your love.
Yeah.
You're about to give Tommy Gunn this fucking cufflink chain, this boxing glove that should have belonged to your son. You know, that
And
Mickey
that's
gave
the monologue
you.
I'm talking about. Like
That's
she,
her
I
shining
love that.
moment in
Sense
this
into him.
movie.
Yeah, she should not have gotten a Razzie because we needed her. We needed her. Thank you, Talia.
Kind of like the Heather Rae mentioning that she was a little superfluous, and that I had that feeling, and that monologue that you're talking about, Tony, is where I thought from a performance thing she redeemed herself, because I was like, that was solid. Like you
She
gave
didn't
him
have much to work with. Let's be honest.
but she slapped him with the monologue.
Yeah.
That's what I liked about it. And I now that I'm remembering, the art department thing I was going to mention was about Robert's bedroom, which is a very awkwardly decorated rooms. If you're in the art department, you would know this. So they mention he's into art. So there's an easel with a painting on it, and there's a little bit of art paraphernalia strewn about. There's a built-in fish tank above his pillow. It's not really explained well. The best one is a loosely hanging poster. It's not even like on the wall well. but there's a loosely hanging poster of his dad and Apollo together, where it's like, do you have any other idols or anything like that? Like yours is like a band poster or anything.
Yeah.
And then the last thing was the only lamp you can see in the room looks like it belongs. I'd said it looks like it belongs in a 1920s brothel. It's one of those very tassel.
Oh,
Was it the one that was in Rocky 1? Was it in Rocky's room in
If it was, that'd be a
Rocky
good
one?
throwback. I don't know if it's the same one. I'd
Was
have
it
to
like
go back and
rounded
look.
at the top and had fringe?
It
and
did.
had like a red tint to it?
It did.
It's probably that one.
Then that would make sense and make the most
Take it
sense
back,
in there.
Jed.
Take it back.
I see what you did there. I see what you did
Take
there.
it back.
Well, if that's cool, but then they should have done a little bit better, like showing it. But it was such an odd bedroom. I don't know. It's just like when I saw it, I was like, this looks like it was just lazily thrown together. I mean, his apartment in one with the knives in the wall we talked about, that makes more sense to me than this. Sorry, what were you gonna say?
Oh, wasn't he living in the basement? Didn't Rocky
Yeah, 'cause
give him his
Tommy
bedroom?
Tommy
Rocky
Gunn got it. Yeah.
Tommy Gunn his bedroom.
Yeah, because you can
No, he
sleep.
didn't-
You can sleep with
he didn't
Polly.
move
Oh,
into
your
the
plumbing doesn't
basement.
leak, does it, kid?
And then the basement is like
he moved in with Polly.
yeah, and the basement is like decorated all Rocky stuff and it's
Yeah.
belts and medals and
Robert put that up.
yeah, I know. And Tommy's like, oh my God, this place is awesome. And
And that's the first time that he just brushes Robert off to the side. Rocky does, and it just gets worse from there.
cringe.
Yeah,
Cringy.
that was I think that moment for me. So wait, remind me again. So Polly was living in the basement, in Rocky's basement?
No,
No.
that was Robert's.
And he had a bedroom, and Robert went to sleep in Polly's bedroom when Tommy Gunn came.
Right. Okay. Yeah, gotcha.
So wait, you're telling me the fish tank was Polly's fish tank?
I'm not saying anything about the fish tank. I'm not obsessed with the fish tank, Jed. That you
But
tell
no,
us.
I remember the bedroom because in the beginning of the movie, so this doesn't wait. We are figuring out some new shit right now because in the beginning of the movie, he does go into his bedroom
That's
and
the
he's
bedroom
looking
I'm
at
talking
his
about.
art.
It's
He's
the
looking
previous-
at his art.
Mm-hmm.
This
That's
is
the
in
one
this
I'm
movie.
That's the one I'm talking
This
about.
is in this movie. Oh, before they moved out of their rich house.
Yes, this isn't still in the rich house.
okay,
I
when
think
they're
that's
still
where
in
I'm-
the rich
I was
house.
going to
Yeah,
say,
sorry.
well,
Yeah,
they
no.
did just kind of move there, and it's all
Yeah.
kind of slipshod, and they all lost all of their clothes apparently in the estate
Yeah.
sale.
Oh my God.
because-
And Rocky had to go to the attic and pull his old shit out
Since we're talking
which I'm not
about
mad
it,
about, and Adrian's glasses
and
too.
his cigarettes.
why
Smoking
on
again.
God's green earth are they hanging out at the auction? That is the most depressing thing in this whole
Yeah,
movie.
it's
You're
pretty
gonna
rough.
stand there and watch all your stuff get sold away and everything. It's just like, my God, like get your kid out of there. Like,
Yeah,
that's
and the kid's
worst.
sitting on the bike, and the guy's like, "Hey, that bike's sold. I want to take the bike." The kid won't get off the bike.
I mean, who's going to tell Rocky he can't be there though? Really?
I understand that part. I'm just
know,
saying,
I mean,
it's like,
'cause
you're
during-
traumatizing your child.
Yeah,
Like, get
just
out of there.
sitting all sad on
Hey,
his
you wanna-
on his motorcycle.
You want to go to the auction and watch all your favorite things go away?
There
Don't
was
worry,
kind of a
we'll-
real moment though when he said to his son, he's like, "It's just stuff, you know.
Yes.
Just, you know,
We've been down before.
yeah, we've been down before. You know,
Robert
we can
doesn't
get
know
through
that.
it."
Robert's like, "I grew up with a robot." Like, what the fuck, y'all?
With an antique
Lifestyle.
car.
I know. Like, I don't know what down and out is. Y'all might, but I want my robot back.
Oh, that's sorry, because I totally forgot to say this earlier. One of the crazy continuity gaffes between 4 to 5 is that they're in a whole new house that you don't really know how they
Yes.
could have moved because they were in Russia. So if they did theoretically move, they would have moved everything while Adrian and Rocky and Polly are all overseas.
And I think that house belonged to Muhammad Ali.
Oh, I didn't see that. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. It's either the house in 4,
Mm-hmm.
the exterior of that house, or the one in 5. One of those of his rich houses belonged to Muhammad Ali.
Okay.
So they shot the exterior.
Did they? But now, because I'm just now thinking of it, did they ever show or say from 4 to 5 who was watching Robert Stallone?
The robot.
I mean, Robert.
the robot
Bello.
was.
The robot was. There we go. Perfect answer. Moving on.
Yeah, because Adrian left him too.
Yeah.
Everybody just went to
Fuck
Russia.
this kid. Merry Christmas.
Yeah. Holy shit. He's
Plot
alone
hole
in Christmas with the robot.
Jesus.
Wait, was he not with the robot watching Rocky fight on TV?
With a Santa hat.
Yeah,
You
the
mentioned
robot,
it,
yes.
yeah, on the last episode.
And there were other kids in that room.
But where's the adult?
Yeah.
So
worry about
literally
it.
the robot just was. And
Oh
the
my
robot
God.
was taking care of multiple kids.
Oh my God.
Not just Robert.
Okay. New fan fiction B story we need to work on.
I think we already just we talked about that last podcast, about making a robot like series.
just basically take 4 and 5 and we'll make the robot the central character and we just rewrite them. That's it. Yes. All the boxing is just a background thing that just kind of comes and goes. It's like Star Trek Lower Decks.
Oh my gosh.
So
perfect.
now it's time for us to go around the ring in 4 corners.
Ding.
Ding.
And it's montage corner time. So 5 has montages. They kind of feel a little bit more like they're filling quotas than actually being useful.
They're like, oh shit, this is a Rocky movie. We have to have montages.
Right.
Throw something in there.
The one that we're going to look at and that you'll be able to listen to, this is the one that I think pushes the story forward more than the others, as a Rocky montage is intended to do. So this is the second training montage. I don't know which number of montage it is in the movie, but it's basically where we're speeding through Tommy's wins and not Don King's growing influence on him. Oh, and it's 1990. Get back to that new popular hippity hop music. All right, let's step in the ring. It's not CNC
notice,
Music
by
Factory,
the
but
way,
it sounds a lot
notice that this is the same ring that Rocky fought his first fight with Spider Rico.
With Spider,
in.
yeah.
Okay. That's a cool observation.
He's just winning.
Yeah. That mullet's winning.
You got
I just despise him so much.
Sage just being
I thought I hated Drago until Tommy Gunn showed up. I kind of love Drago.
You certainly miss Drago watching this.
Yeah.
certainly do.
yeah.
You certainly do. You miss all of the
I do have to say that there are a lot of newspaper clippings in this montage.
Yeah.
I think this is the one when Adrian puts the newspaper thing in the
It
footwear
is
case.
Yes.
100%. And we got, he's getting trained. Robert's getting trained by Paulie. Paulie sees
Yeah.
how.
Even Polly gets
Yeah,
it.
Paulie is pissed at Rocky for, he kind of takes over with Robert.
We haven't really gotten into it, but the actual boxing in this is, I think, some of the worst fights in the entire franchise.
Yeah, they're just kind of boring,
Well,
Yeah, lots of Robert being mad and Paulie taking note. Lots of that.
Does he
even
spray
ignoring
Paulie in the
Adrian.
face with something?
Yeah, that was a
in
water
every
bottle.
montage that we've seen?
One of them, he
Or like
spits-
the accidental
he spits on
spit.
him.
There was one where he clapped like chocolate.
Oh, yeah.
Oh yeah,
face.
he pulls him into the swimming pool at one point.
Right?
Oh yeah, you're right. Every montage he does something
He
to
does. He
Paulie.
like
Yeah.
pranks Paulie. Somehow.
Do you think?
George Washington Duke is watching all of this, y'all. Oh, one-handed push-ups by Robert. Look at that. So basically, Robert's doing everything that Tommy's doing, but with Paulie and the
Yes.
other trainer.
Yeah.
But with heart.
Yeah.
But with heart
Yeah.
and anger. Lots of
And-
anger.
and-
Rage.
A lot of anger. A lot
He's
of
not
growing anger.
Sage Stallone. He's Rage Stallone.
Rage Stallone. Oh God, I didn't realize that he gave him
I
Apollo's
remember.
trunks. I forgot about that. Oh, how dare he!
I mean, he gives him his trunks. He's about to give him the fucking cufflink chain.
Did Adrian just give Robert like a nod of approval like after he's training or something like that? Like, yeah, go beat up that bully.
No, I think that she just knows that she's making up for the lack of Rocky.
Yeah, I see you. I think it's more of an acknowledgement.
This has like a poor man Hammer, MC Hammer feel to
Oh,
it.
I was saying CNC Music Factory.
That's,
but,
yeah, I'm with you there.
MC Hammer is on this soundtrack and not in.
Is it too legit to quit?
No, it's songs I do not remember.
And we got to see the steps. The statue is still at the top of the steps
So
too.
every single fight that they show Tommy Gunn, every single time, the opponent is just standing there taking.
Well, let's just be real. Nobody gives a shit about a fight in Rocky that doesn't involve Rocky, except for Apollo and the Russian.
And Adonis, I guess, which we'll get to.
Well,
Ayo. Yeah.
I didn't see any garbage cans on fire in there in South Philly.
I didn't see any steam either.
See, that's a continuity error,
Right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Again, very disappointing. All right, so we're going to move on to our next section, our next corner called the Did You Know Trivia Corner for Rocky 5. And boy, oh boy, I bet everyone's got a lot of negative trivia. What I'll speak to that Heather Rae had mentioned earlier. I'm just reading directly from this is an IMDb trivia thing. Sylvester Stallone originally toyed with the idea of killing Rocky off at the end of the film. The plan was that Rocky would die in an ambulance on its way to the hospital with Adrian by his side. At the hospital, she would have announced to the world of his passing, and his spirit would live on with a final flashback of the famous scene of him running up the steps. Stallone ultimately abandoned this concept and rewrote the ending. There's a separate
because
trivia.
test audiences hated it for obvious
and
reasons.
the producers hated it, and Stallone
Everybody hated it.
Well,
Why
Stallone
wouldn't
later
they?
did admit that the producers were correct.
Yeah.
Yeah. He that's the moment
Clearly.
where he was like, "Yeah,
Was
yeah,
that
I was
before or
wrong."
after he went on to do Balboa and
News before.
Yeah,
Okay.
I mean that kind of shuts down my theory then.
Oh, you want to go into your theory now?
Yeah.
yeah, come on.
What you got?
My theory is that he had 6 in mind before he even started
No way.
doing this.
This was supposed to be the last
and
one.
that, or that he wanted to actually
Again.
make 6, you know? Like that was the movie he actually wanted to make, but then realizing like as he's going through that, oh, we need all this other stuff. in
No, he
between.
actually made 6 because he hated Rocky 5 so much.
Well, and
Sly.
he
Yeah.
wanted to make it. I think he had the idea as early as 98, 99, and he wanted to make it in 99, but it took until 2006 till he could get it made. Which is there's a fun little time math thing. If you take the first 5 Rocky movies, they're all in less than 15 years. And the gap between 5 and 6 is 16 years. So the gap is longer than the making of the first 5 movies, which is pretty nuts.
That is wild.
Who else has some trivia? Let's go around.
I'll say that during the shooting with John Avildsen, who's back from 1 and 2.
And what a disappointment, because you're like, oh man, the original director's back, and it did not go very well.
No, it did not. I mean, he apparently butted heads with the cinematographer too, the DP, because he thought that Stephen Poster, I'm not sure.
Oh yeah, the lighting. He had issues with the
he
lighting,
had
right?
issues with the lighting. He said that the DP was overlighting so many of the scenes, and he wanted them to look like the old Rockies. He wanted it to look gritty and blah blah blah. And he said that sometimes they used even a single spotlight to light an entire scene, like the first boxing match, right? In Rocky. And Poster told Avildsen that the original film looked like a cheap documentary. And Avildsen smiled and he was like, "Yep, exactly. That's
I'm
what
glad
I'm
you get it
going
now."
for." Yeah, here we go. How about that?
Be happy I'm not firing you.
Right.
Fucking DPs. Sorry.
It's all very precious.
I'm not the director, but I have a better idea than him. So anyway, who else has some trivia? No, nothing. Oh wow, I love that you're shaking your head. Okay, I have a couple other things.
I mean,
in
I
here.
have some, I should have mentioned this in the very beginning about Talia Shire. I don't know if you guys know who her sons are. Jason Schwartzman.
Yeah, Jason Schwartzman.
And Robert Schwartzman, who, if you don't know the band Rooney, you should check it out because he's the lead singer of that band. Also,
Not a bad band, actually.
And he was also
Actor bands are usually pretty terrible.
Yeah, no, it's a good band.
Yeah, I mean, it's no Dog Star, but
and he was also the love interest in Princess Diaries.
oh, I wouldn't.
Yeah, sorry,
I know the title,
It's fun. It's fun.
but that is cool.
I mean, this is some trivia that, is kind of obvious, but it was the lowest grossing, obviously. But, I mean, if we want to talk about what Sylvester Stallone was being paid, he made like 23 grand in that first movie, and he made like 15 million in this one.
Yeah, I mean, well, especially if you're not counting the residuals, because he eventually did make quite a lot of money off of the original Rocky because of how he did his point deal.
Yeah. Well, I mean,
But he
there
rolled
was
the
a
dice
lot of,
with that.
we talked
Yeah.
about the budgetary constraints
Right.
in the first one, and how the extras were just given like a fried chicken dinner or something like that. And so in this
pizzas,
one, the fights between Tommy Gunn and Union Kane were shot at the Philadelphia Civic Center, and it required 10,000 extras. And anyone who wanted to attend could get tickets in the newspaper from local radio stations to go and see the fight.
Well, I also found out that the chain, the boxing glove golden chain, the cuffling, when they were showing the, they debuting the movie, the premiere, they gave out those necklaces to people.
Oh, you can buy them online.
Yeah.
I actually, I was doing the Mike Tyson Hulu series, and
I did that with you.
You did. Mm-hmm. That was our first time together in a while.
It was.
I had to make excuses to go to set just to say hi.
Was that Heart of a Lion?
I wasn't mad.
No, Heart of a Lion was the George Foreman one.
Oh, I did. I worked on that one.
Yeah, but the only reason I brought it up is because when I was buying rings and paraphernalia and stuff to have as options, and I'm getting all these vintage sunglasses and eyewear and everything, and as I'm going through all that, I saw that boxing glove, but they had it in a necklace form. Basically, I had it dangling on a necklace, and I was like, I mean, I'll buy it anyway.
Do you have it?
Yeah, I do.
No, you don't. Of course
he does.
I'm wearing it right now. No,
you should be wearing it right now.
You're right. No, it's just in the kit.
But yeah, they were premiered at Mann's Chinese Theater in LA, and that's when they were giving them all out for free.
That's
so
awesome.
If you were at the premiere, you would have gotten a chain.
One other
Rocky 4 T-shirt, the Rocky 5 Marciano cuffling.
Yes.
One trivia point we should also bring up is that the release of this movie is directly related to the Philadelphia fire of 1990 that destroyed a big chunk of the. I'm kidding, that didn't happen.
It's because of all those flaming
just
garbage
making shit up.
cans.
Here we are.
They took the garbage cans and they started burning. Anyway,
So he's like, what?
yeah.
When was that?
Well, they're going like, I mean, I wanted to riot when I saw it because I'm a Philly guy. That's what we do here. We riot. We win a Super Bowl, we destroy our town.
True.
So the only other thing I wanted to mention, the trivia thing, is I did have it in here of the crazy kid continuity world. So at the end of Rocky IV, which is in 85, Rocky's son, who was born in 76, is 9 years old. However, at the beginning of Rocky V, which in the movie's timeline takes place only a week after the end of Rocky IV, Sage Stallone, who is now playing it, is already 12 or 13.
Yeah, I think he's 14 in real life.
In addition, Rocky IV is set in 1985 because we know this because of the 9-year anniversary of Rocky and Adrian and everything. Yet in this movie, Robert and his friends are watching the 1989 movie Christmas Vacation. So again, there's just no thought to the timeline or anything. This is I think I was giving up in 4, and I have officially given up trying to understand the age and all that by this point.
Well, I think, we talked about the suspension of disbelief in all the other movies, and I think that this one doesn't give that to you. There's too many things that are like, wait a minute.
It's too clunky.
And honestly, I blame a lot of this movie on Tommy Morrison and his horrendous acting.
And his bad hair.
Yeah. I mean, he might be a nice guy in real life. I mean, we should be clear to say,
I'm
like,
sure.
we
He's
separate
lovely.
the person from the job.
Of course. But that doesn't make him a better actor.
They should have done a test with him, like a little camera test, maybe do a little scene monologue or something, and then immediately been like, oh, you know what, this was a terrible idea, we need to get somebody else immediately. Just or bring back Clubber Lang, or who cares, like anyone really.
Well, there is right before he gets in the fight with Robert, when he's upstairs and he's fighting with Robert before Robert goes down to the basement, he's wearing a cream colored sweater with horizontal stripes, like kind of like it's like knitted, so it's like raised.
Yes.
But when he goes downstairs to talk to Robert, they're vertical.
Seriously?
Yes.
Oh my God. I love that you get all the costume continuity errors, and I'm just like, la la la. I'm not on the job, y'all. I'm not paying attention to it.
Oh my gosh. And I was like, wait a minute. And I had to rewind. I'm like, is that a different sweater?
Oh my God, that's
And then
so funny.
Also in the background, there's a Rambo poster or a Rambo card.
Yes. There is a Rambo card as a little Easter egg.
Yeah. And it's like, yeah, you have to look for that one.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
But it's right during the fight. I mean, the kid fight.
So this is, I want to move us on to our next corner as we're going to push through this. Our next corner is called How Dare You? And we've been doing 1-star reviews from IMDb for the most part, but I I did get a 1-star review. There's plenty to choose from, but I thought it would also be funny to get some 10 out of 10s. So I'm going to give you all a couple here to comment on. So I'll start with the 1 out of 10. This is titled, "There Is No Such Movie." And it's from...
I think that's how we all
Yeah,
feel.
we all kinda feel that
it's
way.
from someone named C said. This was from March 22nd, 2002. Rocky 5 has made it to my, quote, Black Ops list of films. I disavow any knowledge of this movie's existence. That's how bad this movie was. Don't worry. It's got, quote, good company. For example, Highlander 2, The Quickening. Tommy Morrison. Paul Winfield as a food stamps Don King. He's wrong. It wasn't Paul Winfield. It was Richard Gant. Rock's wussy son. The only hope for this dreck,
Poor Robert.
I'm not familiar with that word, would have been Polly's robot embarking on a bloodthirsty rampage.
I wish.
And only Balboa can stop him. Don't waste your time. 1 out of 10 stars.
Fair.
Wow. But you know, you shouldn't have been that mean to Robert.
Yeah, have some respect
Yeah.
for the dead. My God.
I do like, even though he was wrong on the
Wussy.
casting, I do like some of his. I like that he brought up Highlander 2.
I know.
It is terrible. So here are, I'll do a couple of 10 out of 10s. So this one is called, "I Disagree with the Reviews. I Got Entertained." This is from Reserig-3141518, whatever. This is fairly recent.
Number.
Yeah, exactly.
Can we call him now?
Yeah. Let's pause for a second. So this is from, this is recent. This is August 18th, 2023. Rocky 5. Not a bad reputation because the reviewers are elitists. The public always liked Sylvester Stallone's movies, but the fat cats in the media always rejected him, just like the character Rocky Balboa was always marginalized for the same reasons. Because Rocky 4 is considered to be a patriotic movie, Rocky 5 got boycotted by the press mostly because the journalists are left-wing and thought it is not okay to show Soviet Union in a negative way. Hollywood believes that you can only make social criticism against the right, against Christian religion, against conservatives.
So you're voting
I
for
see
Trump.
where this is
Gotcha.
going.
Yeah,
For
I-
I
example,
see where this is going.
For example, Rocky Balboa always asks for the Catholic priest to bless him. It's called Father Carmine.
Yeah.
Come on.
And I hate that he brings Tommy to him.
Yeah.
Anyway.
He always prays and does the sign of the cross. He cared to criticize the Soviets. His best friend was an African American, and in parentheses, in the leftist world, races are always segregated. He is faithful to his wife and never divorced her despite marital troubles. And he keeps Uncle Paulie working for him despite him losing all their money, showing that family matters more than money. By the way, in the movie, Rocky and his son encouraged tourists to visit the art museum in Philadelphia to see the historical paintings. So he crossed all the lines that are politically correct people created. 10 out of 10.
Good Lord.
You can see why I pulled this one.
Good Lord.
And they brought so much into it that I definitely did not consider when I was watching this movie.
My God. I have a headache.
Yeah,
right
now I have a headache.
All right, and I'll do
How
one
dare
more.
you, Jed, even reading that?
So I'll do one more here. This is called One of the Greats Movies of All Times. I don't think they understand how to use greatest. That was Possessive Greats. This is from Gra Focolo.
Wait, did that have a apostrophe?
Yeah.
Yes,
Possessive.
one of the greats movies of all
Oh,
times.
fantastic.
This is from May 19th, 2006.
Great is.
Are you ready? This is a wonderful movie about glory and redemption. Stallone, it's in a very good form. Is this written by a bot? And the rest of the cast, it's right. We can see good action scenes, a history about the family, and how to survive in the streets. It's probably the best performance of Stallone because he is not a wonderful actor, but he is particularly good in the Rocky saga. Always we can see Talia Shire crying for the fighter, the teenage son of Balboa, learning about his life. The drunk Uncle Paulie. God, there's so many misspellings in here. And there's an interesting apparition of Burgess Meredith in the role of Mickey, the charismatic trainer. Thank you. We forgot that.
Called a flashback. Y'all.
Yeah. Oh, was he the trainer? Anyway, in this movie, Rocky is in trouble, but he has, God, this is hard to read, enough courage to win this round. One more in this large story. He will find a new opportunity to regret to the top of the glory, but this is not simple. This is what it says. He must run in the streets again.
This is not his first language.
No. This is definitely...
When was this review?
2006. I think somebody translated and it translated poorly.
Okay.
This is like early Google Translate.
Benefit of the
Or
doubt.
Babelfish. This is actually probably Babelfish. We're in 2006. And then the last, in this movie, the American people always love him. He's a national hero, and it's not easy for a hero to try to retire and go home. The people want to see him fighting and fighting forever, but he is human. Now his son needs his attention. He has problems with the money. He is not rich, like in the old times of glory.
He has the problems with the money.
He has conditional love for his wife. This is a great movie for all the family and the best of the Rocky saga. The best.
Wow.
I really recommend this movie. 10 stars.
Holy schmolies.
Damn. How dare he?
I'm telling you.
This is somebody in Russia that became a fan after 4. And they're like, I love Rocky now. I love all the Rocky
Redemption.
movies.
It's basically Dolph Lundgren writing it. Yeah.
I was trying to think of like a Yakov Smirnoff thing. Like in Rocky 5, you don't watch Rocky. Rocky watch you. Like, I don't know. We'll do something with that. All right. So that is the How Dare You corner. And now our final corner, it's time for our fucking Polly corner, which we've mentioned a little bit because there are a lot of redeeming things in this. The only thing I have in my notes that we haven't mentioned, I love the complete randomness of the fake binoculars that he's using as a flask.
Forgot
It
about
makes
that.
no sense. It's an unnecessary prop as a prop person that it's just like, why does he have to hide it in the binoculars? Everybody knows he's a raging
He's been
alcoholic.
drinking out of flasks openly for 4
Right.
I mean,
movies.
He has bottles openly.
Right.
Like,
So what are you hiding from?
Well, look, everybody knows he's a raging alcoholic, so let's add to it by making people think he's a creep spying on people with binoculars.
Exactly. But what do y'all want to add to this as far as Polly?
I think for me, my favorite part with Paulie, but I really love the yo Santa, but that part in the bar when he just goes off on Tommy Gunn.
Yes, that's my favorite.
I'll let you probably have all the quotes. I just want, it's both of our favorites. I love that part with Paulie calling him a bum and
Crumb bum.
A crumb bum.
A crumb bum.
and
We gotta bring
standing
that
up for
into modern
Rocky.
vernacular.
Yeah, we got to bring that back.
Bringing it back, y'all.
Yeah.
Crumbs in your bum.
A crumb
Crumb
bum.
bum.
And what did Apollo always say?
In what regard?
Yeah.
I can't. Do the Paulie thing.
I mean, I don't know.
It'll come to me. It'll come.
Tony's verklempt. We're going to talk amongst ourselves for a minute. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I mean, it's great because he totally says everything you can tell he's been thinking and kind of saying to Rocky the whole time, like especially during the fight, the Tommy Gunn Union Cane fight. He's just so disappointed in Rocky, and not even in Rocky. He's disappointed in Tommy, and he's disappointed that Rocky is letting him get there because there's that whole thing we didn't talk about where, Rocky is bringing Robert to school for the first time. He's
we
saying,
talked about
you gotta-
the bricks.
No,
Yeah.
sorry, never
And
mind.
the
Moving
fence.
on.
And the inexplicable fence that he needed to go through to get to the school. Yeah.
It's called urban blight.
But we go, good Lord, y'all. But he's talking to Robert, and he's saying how you got to watch this. These aren't like people you grew up with, and you gotta look out for scams and hustlers. Everybody's looking for something, and you gotta don't be. He's like, oh yeah, deception. Yeah, you're talking about deception. Robert says, and I mean that's the thing. It's during this too, he says, "Hey, can I talk to my son for a minute?" And Paulie says, "Are you kidding me? That's how wars get started." Fucking Paulie.
He's so fun.
But I mean, that's the thing, and Robert does call him out in that argument during the Christmas argument about how, oh, you know how you told me I had to watch out for scams and deceptions? Well, you're the one, and that's the thing. Like, he was completely, and I have a theory that Rocky, the brain damage comes out in just his actions in this movie. Because, the whole thing with Tommy and Robert and the whole, it's all, he's not right in the head.
There's no wisdom either in this movie.
No,
there's no Rocky wisdom.
Nope.
He is the recipient of
There's
everyone
Mickey
else
wisdom, but,
everyone else is being smarter than him in this.
Even Paulie.
Yeah, Paulie.
Yeah.
Even Paulie.
And this
Fucking
is-
Paulie.
I think this is the only movie where somebody who's fighting with Rocky actually assaults Paulie.
Yeah,
Like,
well, that's
what causes.
I mean, that kind of
Rocky.
like knocks Rocky back into
like, you just hit my
It's
Paulie.
like, wait a minute. This isn't. You're not who I thought you were. And it took
Paulie.
that much, though.
Yeah.
I mean, he watched him go to George Duke. He watched him to go and do this and do that and whatever. And then Tommy comes in after his fight with George Washington Duke and a bunch of cameras and a crowd calling Rocky out
in the
trying to
most
get him
yawn
to-
of a fight with Union Kane. I mean,
Yeah, well,
I
well, that's the point, though. I mean, that's
they
what
didn't
they were
even
saying
need
in
to
the press
show it.
conference.
They actually
too.
could have given
They
us yet
didn't
another
much.
newspaper headline, and it would have worked just as well.
Yeah.
It was the worst fight in the whole
It was
series.
a tiny little moment in the movie, though. It wasn't like a normal in the ring fight.
No, and I want to use that to segue us. So real quick, that's our four corners of the ring. So I want to get into that street fight now, and so we've already started talking about it. I want y'all to speak to the fight itself, the cheap shots,
Well, it's a street fight. I think that Rocky remembered his fight with Thunderlips and brought those things to the table.
I like that you couldn't finish that without laughing.
I tried so hard.
Give him a good show.
Because the way it played out, it was like Rocky handed it to him immediately. And then each time Rocky started to walk away, he just kept punching from behind. It was like, Jesus Christ, this guy's like the worst, dirtiest fighter. I mean, yes, you're right. It's a street fight. But I could be wrong, but I want to say at one point there's like an ADR line of some random person in the crowd going, Rocky, look out, kind of thing. as if he's going to be like, what? But it's like the rest of the movie, it's clunky. Like there's some elements that I kind of liked about it.
Well, the best part of that fight is when he has the second flashback of Mickey, and he's like, "Get up, son of a bitch!
Yeah.
You get up, you son of a bitch, because Mickey loves you." And then
So-
Bill Conti comes in. I gotta
Yes.
bring in Bill Conti.
Yes.
Boom, boom, yep. And,
Heather Ray's Bill Conti
it's-
quota has been satisfied.
Thank you.
I'd argue
True.
that Mickey would actually come in and be like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
Yeah, he would.
Get out
back inside.
of here.
Brain damage.
So-
remember?
Well, I want to say,
Go ahead.
I really love the part when the fight takes a turn. Basically,
Yes.
when when Tommy Gunn basically tackles Rocky through the gate out into the front of the bar, and it's dark.
My ring's
and
outside.
All you see is like a subway train going by with all of its lights on. It's very artistic. It's really pretty.
Sure, there weren't any
beams of
garbage
the
can fires
truck or
in that?
whatever that are
I
lighting
want
the
to say
street
there was
fight.
probably
I feel like there
garbage
had
can on
to be.
fire. But I mean, they're under the subway tracks.
behind the
It's
crowd.
raw. It's dirty. The train's going by right at that moment. It's kind of magic at that one point right there.
But give us
Cinematically speaking,
give us
you're
like
saying.
Yes.
if it's
Okay.
going to be a dirty street fight, then go. Don't go 8 of 9 yards. Like, let's have Paulie just randomly break one of his bottles over Tommy's head.
Yes.
Like let's go full dirty and.
Well,
just
it
get
had to be
freaking
Rocky.
involved.
I mean, it-
finishing it.
it
It had
actually,
to be all.
Oh no, that
Rocky.
was only to stun him or something, and then Rocky can come in and.
Oh,
finish.
right.
Well, but
Yeah,
still,
of course.
Well, Rocky's not a dirty fighter, though.
I
That's
did
the
like him
thing.
punching Duke, though. That was great.
Oh, that's the best.
That's actually, I mean, it's
That's
technically
the
after the fight,
best
but I'll call that
fight.
the best.
During the fight, he goes up to George Washington Duke.
Don't hit me, I'll sue.
Don't hit me, I'll sue. And then at the end of the fight, after he beats Tommy, he's saying, "Oh, if you hit me, I'll sue." And Rocky knocks him out cold, and
Yeah.
he's like, Sue me for what?
Yeah, I don't got nothing.
I ain't got nothing.
Yeah.
And then he
Go
says,
ahead.
"Hey, Adrian."
It's a real bee in your bonnet.
Oh, it
isn't
really
it?
is. I mean, he's never
dare
said
you.
that.
How dare you?
It's so wrong. That's what. But yeah, no. Also, I really like the part when Rocky takes him in this arm lock and like twists him around and starts punching him in the back of
Yes.
the head. Like he's like, "You're gonna do it to me." Fuck
Yeah.
you. I'm gonna do it to
The
you.
choreography
And he
was
just-
really weird because some of it was good, like what you're saying, and
It
then
had,
other
like,
times
yeah.
there would be a little bit of like borderline martial art action going, and you're
Oh
like,
yeah,
you're
for
like,
sure. Sweep the leg, Johnny.
yeah,
I
like-
mean,
It gave me
wrong movie.
Yeah.
I know. I know.
Kid Rocky. Here we
Appleton,
go.
you just did Karate Kid, but
It was.
this ain't no Ralph Macchio.
I mean, it's one of those things where it's like there's a fight coordinator, and at some point, I don't know who, maybe Stallone, who knows, is going like, I don't know, maybe we can get some kicks in there or something.
It did give me it gave me a Warriors feel to it. though.
Right.
It did give me that grungy
Yeah.
Warriors kind of feel to it.
So,
But yeah, other than that,
what are, besides the fight, what are some things about the movie as a whole that you think if they had just executed it better, or if you tweak something, that would have helped sell this as a better overall movie?
recasting. We've talked
Yes,
about
yeah,
this.
definitely. Tommy
Yeah,
Gunn is
obviously.
a he's a top 3, I
Yeah.
would say. But what are some other things? I mean, we've talked about continuity gaps, we talked about plot gaps, we've talked about that kind of stuff. But
I think those are the things that really, I mean, those are pretty big things.
Yeah, they are
you
big
know what
things.
I mean? I mean,
Yeah.
like I said, it all takes you out of that possibility of suspending your disbelief.
I mean, I don't.
To believe all, to really invest your
I would add
emotionally.
the nostalgia that they were going for in this didn't
Felt
work.
flat.
It felt very flat, and that's a bad swing and a miss, because you need that nostalgia of coming back to the neighborhood and everything to work for you emotionally to
did
get
that
more invested.
much better in the
Yeah.
I mean,
heyo,
heyo.
but there
Heyo.
will be nostalgia that works later.
yeah, but yeah, there's no reconnecting with the neighborhood.
Yes.
There's no like. Going
Where's little
into-
Marie?
What? Hey, ayo.
No,
But yeah.
I'm just bringing her up as. Oh, where's the acapella group?
But yeah, where is Frank Stallone? But no, I honestly, I don't mind the street fight.
No,
I mean,
that-
I like how
fine.
it's,
Idea
how it's
of it was
different
okay.
than all the rest of the movies. It's breaking the norm. It's breaking the Rocky thing. Like everything has to change eventually. We don't always have to end in the ring, do we? So the street fight I thought was kind of cool.
No, I mean, I buy that. I buy it. I mean,
I want more of
in
people
relation,
throwing-
like considering what came before it, I'll buy it.
Well,
You
and
know?
it did work in some ways. So like when Not Don King is warning Tommy to not fight because he knows it's going to go badly, and it's
he's not making any money on this.
Well, you're not making any money, and you're about to ruin your very new career as a heavyweight champion. Like you are about to.
He doesn't give a shit about Tommy Gunn.
No,
He's using
it's
him
the
as a
money,
pawn
but
the
that's the thing,
entire
it's the
time.
money.
Yeah, he wants the money from
And that's
Tommy
the
Gunn.
thing. By what you're about to do, you're going to cost me money too. That's
yeah.
the thing. It's a very self-serving thing, of course.
Well, it's all self-serving
Yeah.
with him.
But I like it in the
He
sense
was
of,
really smart in how he manipulated
Yes.
Tommy Gunn, though.
again.
I mean,
Richard Gant might be the best actor in the movie.
I like that he gets
would
thrown
agree.
on the
I would
car.
agree.
I like that he gets punched out and he lands back from
Yeah, he
the hood
does
of
it.
a car.
He does a nice comical
I mean,
flyback. To
Yeah, that's good. That's good. I want to see more of that
Yeah.
in the fight. I want to see dirt and I want to see water. I want to see a fire hydrant just like exploding full of water.
Yeah, give me some
like,
neighborhood
dirt
kids playing in the
people's
fire
faces.
hydrant water.
Yeah, let's do it. I mean, if we're gonna do it, let's do it.
So Justin, this is usually where we turn to you to kind of recap your guessing of trying to predict the plot. Right before we get to that, just real quick, anything that you want to add that we haven't really covered, since this is you're a first time watcher of it.
I don't think so.
You're like, this horse has been beaten.
Yeah. I think it had the potential. The potential was there for something. I don't know what could have been. I can't pinpoint any one thing. I mean,
The Fall from Glory is always a good starting point, honestly. Like him losing his.
I think the outline was right.
Yeah,
Going
I
back
think
to
the
like
execution.
I think
Yeah.
you're absolutely
Yes.
right that it had potential. I
Yeah.
mean, and Jed and I
Yeah.
spoke about this early, and I think we actually said it earlier on
Easily the
podcast.
most objective watch I've ever given that movie.
Yeah,
And
because the whole time we were like, well, it could have been good.
I
It
usually
could have been
anger
good.
watch this
Yeah,
movie
exactly.
going like, God damn it, fucking
I
Tommy
know.
Morris.
It's time
You know
for
what?
5. I can't skip it because
I
it's
know.
Rocky, but
Maybe we can make a drinking game out of it or something. Or bingo cards. You know?
Yeah. That's
Play
actually,
bingo while you watch.
that would help get through it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
but that would make us have to watch it again, right?
You're going to have
It's
to
good.
watch it, I bet you, one more time.
Oh,
in your
I'm
life.
sure it's
If
good.
I
I'm going to
told you-
watch it again, but it's going to be a minute
If I
because
told
I
you
watched
you
it
get
twice
a-
in like the last 2 weeks.
You get a
and
gold boxing glove necklace as a reward for completing a new
Okay.
watch of it.
Oh, wait,
Yeah,
wait,
see,
we
see,
should
I
all
knew, I
get-
knew it'd work.
That's what we
I'm
should
easy.
get. That's
I'm easy
what
like
we
the
should
redhead.
get. You are.
I'm easy like that.
No, when this
Why are you wearing a
ends,
fur coat
we're
in
all
here?
getting.
It's really hot.
Yeah,
We're all
it's
getting
almost
the
August.
chain. That's true.
But yeah, so I think there was I know 6 is going to be a lot better. Balboa is going to be a million times better.
It's
like a
kind
cookie
of
for
kind of only
watching
have
this.
up to go. It's,
Right,
it's
there's
real-
only up to
yeah.
go from here. I mean, but I imagine there's got to be some pieces in 5 that tie 6, together.
Yeah,
and I think they probably could have done that a lot better, and doing
It does get.
growing
I don't
up,
think this is really
but-
spoiling anything, but a lot you do get in future installments. They do a lot of nostalgia, visual throwbacks where you'll see scenes from the previous movies and everything, and they don't skip out on 5. It gets included in those mixes, so they do acknowledge. That,
I'm
Barely.
guessing. I'm gonna guess there's a lot more going on with his son in 6, based on what
Before
I've
we-
seen in 5.
before we get to that,
Yeah.
let's-
No. Yeah.
let's recap how
Yeah.
you guessed Rocky 5. Let's see. Our clues were okay. So it's Don King, not Don King, bankruptcy, street fight.
Right. Okay. Yeah. So I had no clue what Don King, not Don King was, and it was so obvious.
I mean, the moment
It
you
was
see him,
just
you're
an
like,
actor playing. Don.
right.
But yeah, not Don King. So as soon as I saw him, I was like, oh, okay, yeah. Okay.
Oh, that guy.
Oh, that
Check.
guy. The street fight I called, right?
Yeah.
Yep.
Well, sort of. I mean, I'm guessing the clue you were talking about the in street fight, but I said the son was going to get in a street fight.
Yes. Oh,
that's
which he
right.
did.
Yes.
Right.
Yes.
You were right, Justin.
I was right.
we didn't really. You kind of mentioned it briefly, Tony, but I really did not like. It's just something I don't like in stories in general. That the bullies and then become friends. Like it's like, no, he sucked. Don't be his friend now.
Apollo and Rocky. Hello.
Yeah, but that was on a professional level. This was a bully taking advantage of a new kid in school, and then later it's like, you hit me, so now you got my respect.
It happened really. We can end this right here. Okay, I'm cool with that.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
That was so easy.
It's like what's Nelson? You made me bleed my own blood.
You got citric acid in my eye.
The Living Episode's great.
Simpsons.
Sorry.
Has to be a Simpsons
so back
reference.
to I know quota check. And then you are correct, Justin, about you had the street fight, just not the one that was the finale.
Right,
one.
right.
Yeah.
And then the bankruptcy, I don't know what I said. I'm sure I guessed
I'm sure
Rocky-
you, did.
You were close.
Yeah, I
was going to
mean,
go bankrupt. I don't know if I tried to guess how he went bankrupt. But I would have never guessed that Paulie signed it all away.
No, there's no way to predict that.
No,
there's
there is.
absolutely.
I
It's so
mean-
convoluted. There's no way to like. You remember you were busy getting ready to go to Russia, and these guys they had a lot of
signed that-
questions.
had to
and
sign
next
that
thing I know,
paper?
remember is this I don't know. So
I thought I was doing good business.
You did a really good poly
Oh,
just
thank
now.
you.
Yeah, that was good.
Yeah, that wasn't bad.
well, I've been drinking from this binocular,
If
so
I've
Getting into character. Wow.
Let's now tease our 3 clues for the next installment, which is Rocky 6, aka Rocky Balboa. So, Justin, if we were to say,
hold on. Sorry, I didn't want to be coughing. Start all over.
Okay.
Oh, we're good. If we were to say a restaurant, a video game, and a forgotten face from an old neighborhood, it sounds so heartwarming. What would you guess the plot of Rocky 6 to be?
All right. So, many years later, Rocky opens up a restaurant in retirement, which is something that he's talked about doing in the past, right?
He actually has mentioned. I think he mentions a boxer that retired and opened a restaurant.
Yeah.
Jack Dempsey.
Yeah, right. Which is because it is based on a real thing.
Okay.
Yeah.
So a forgotten face from the old neighborhood, Gazzo,
Ooh, okay.
approaches Rocky.
Gazzo.
Approaches Rocky with a new business idea or a new business opportunity,
There's actually 2 faces from the past.
which is
There
Get
are.
into that though.
Yeah.
AO.
which is a new Rocky video game that he wants him to endorse.
Yes, and I need to be a little transparent here because I realize video games a little misleading. It's actually a simulation.
Right.
So I should have said simulation, but I hadn't rewatched this yet when I had given the clues. So any other guesses for 6?
I think that's it. I think that's my guess. I think he opens up the restaurant in retirement, and for some reason Gazzo comes back, and he has to.
Love Gazzo.
He has to reconcile with that somehow, and maybe he ends up, I don't know, owing Gazzo money, and then he has to fight again to get it all back, win back his glory.
Interesting. That's
There's got to be a fight at the end.
Of course. So this is the kind of the last major thing I wanted to bring up because I wanted y'all to speak to this. Did anyone read about the John G. Avildsen work print version of the film online?
I don't even know what that means.
No.
So I want to read this to y'all and tell me if this would change your opinion of the movie based on what supposedly this is. I haven't
No.
seen it. So basically, John G. Avildsen released a finished version of the film under the title Rocky V: Director's Cut. It was only released online. And in this version, the opening credits are completely different with different music. Additionally, the music throughout the film is decidedly different than what was used in the final version of the film. In particular, there is a lot more Bill Conti music rather than the song.
Yes, I like it already. I like it better already.
I take back everything
Take it
I
back. I
said.
take it back. Take it back.
So there's a lot more Bill Conti music rather than the songs used in the theatrical cut. And then it has in parentheses, Michael Bolton's When I'm Back on My Feet Again plays in this cut when Rocky visits Mighty Mix. Wow. I knew
You're losing me, John.
I know.
Yeah.
Avildsen, as a Michael Bolton fan, that tracks. But several scenes are edited differently in the director's cut and often with different dialogue. There are also a number of deleted scenes in the film, including a scene of Rocky getting drunk at the bar prior to visiting Mighty Mix Boxing, and a scene where Rocky meets Marie from the original to find that she is a prostitute and has just become homeless. Additionally, the director's cut has a completely different edit of the street fight with new music and also includes the Mickey hallucination scene. That's what I was referring to.
Can we find this and watch it at some point?
I haven't tried to look for it. I just know he released it online only. I am curious for sure.
Stallone doesn't know about it, though.
It's a secret.
The one thing I will say for this that it doesn't mention it here, but I know it from a different note I'd read. But the young girl that played Marie was reprising her role in these deleted scenes, so it was the original actress that was.
But not in the next one.
No, but that's a spoiler. Ayo.
Ayo.
So
God damn it, Tony.
but is that enough information?
It's just
Fuck
an
you,
actor.
Tony.
Yeah. Is that enough information, though? I mean, obviously it raises an eyebrow, and I know Heather sold with Bill Conti music added in, but is there is it enough information that you think it's a better movie?
I think the only thing would make it better is if it was in space. Rocky in space.
Rocky, for some reason, has ended up on an asteroid mining colony.
You're talking about Rocky 6 now.
Yeah.
Wait.
Sorry, Justin.
Hey, Rocky 12 is way down the pipeline. We haven't gotten there yet.
That's what he meant by video game.
Yeah. It's when there's
It's really a space
It's like
shuttle.
Futurama.
Gotta go fight the
and it's
aliens.
just Rocky is a head in a jar.
Versus aliens.
Rocky versus aliens, please. Oh my gosh. I want the Rockies to turn into the leprechauns. If we could possibly make that happen. Because basically Rocky 5 is Leprechaun in the Hood.
Yeah.
If you think about it.
Yeah, it is a little bit.
So we need a space version.
We do. Okay, so that's the last thing I have for this. Is there any final thoughts or anything before we get out of here?
Yes. I have one other thing to say.
Sure. Fuck this movie.
I really wanted Rocky, after he like kicked Tommy Gunn's ass, just to go, and I want my shorts back. You know what I mean? Like, he still has his
can't believe
pants.
he gave him his shorts.
I need the
Oh my
cufflink.
God.
I need the shorts.
Yeah.
I need your shit out of my basement.
Yeah,
He throws it on the lawn like an ex-girlfriend.
yeah.
Here's a box of your stuff. I want a box of my stuff.
That's so, yeah, that's the deleted scene, and all through the credits is Rocky like throwing Tommy Gunn's clothes
Out on
on
the lawn.
front lawn. And Adrian standing there with her arms folded, like nodding her
Nodding
head.
approval.
Maybe he
Approval.
throws it into the trash can fire.
Oh, yeah.
He starts a trash can fire to throw
Yep.
Tommy's stuff in.
And as he throws it into the trash can fire, you start hearing some snapping fingers. and then you hear some do do
Take it
do
back.
do. And then people just randomly converge on the
That,
Fire.
see, that should
Fade
have
out.
been the ending.
I know. Star wipe, and we're done.
Can be done.
All right, let's get us out of here. That's it for today. Thank you, everyone, for joining us, and we'll see you next week for Yo Adrian, featuring Rocky 6, a.k.a. Rocky Balboa. And last but not least, Zoe, you've been so quiet and patient over there in the corner. Why don't you get over here and say something on the mic?
1, 2, better not sue. We want to hear from you, the audience. Do you have a behind the scenes story? Maybe you work in the industry, or maybe you had a run-in with production. You know, you live in New Orleans, New York, whatever, and some PA stopped you on the way to work and it was annoying. We want to hear about it. We want to hear about all of it. We love all the stories. Write us and maybe we'll read it on the show. Or maybe you just want to tell us that you love us or you really hate us and you want to fact check us because we're wrong about a lot of things. You can troll us, whatever you want to do. You might even want to guess where Joe or Chris are on any given day of the week. You can do that by emailing us at filmfolklorepodcast@gmail.com. It's filmfolklorepodcast@gmail.com. We do indeed want to hear from you. You can also find us on the social media. Instagram is Film Folklore Podcast. Facebook group is Film Folklore. Twitter, X, whatever you want to call it, @The Film Folk. And don't forget to subscribe, rate, and review us. We really want to hear from you. It's very important to us. Again, we work in the entertainment business, so we need a lot of validation. We're very pathetic, sad people, and we really want to be reviewed. We want to know your honest opinion, and it means a lot to us because you guys mean a lot to us. And for any of you that really like us and have some change burning holes in your pockets and just any money at all, like a credit card, we set up a donation with PayPal and Patreon. Links are in the show notes of this episode and our website. Money helps us do more fun things, and we want to entertain you. Money helps you do more fun things, which helps us do more fun things, which is also helping you have fun. And it would be really nice. And we love you. Thank you.